going back in 2019, what made Modi government to win again in the election?
Modi government used one of her biggest PR campaign called as Ab Ki Baar Modi Sarkar, and it capitalized on the alternative that there was no viable opposition political party which could become a ruling party, and to a fact that even though demonetization happened, where it garnered negative support to Narendra Modi's government, but then still that people had a trust on the political party and this man Narendra Modi that he's going to do something. So that worked for the political party in the man, and therefore they won it with a thumping majority. And the best part of them, as an advantage in the first tenure, is that was a government where the corruption was the least. At least if you compare that with that of the previous Congress government.
So, what? Hi guys, once again welcome back to our channel. So this is me Ranjith and today with a new episode of the podcast. So in today's podcast I have a very special guest, Shankar sir. Hi sir.
Hi.
Thank you so much sir for being in this podcast.
Thank
So
you.
in today's podcast we're gonna talking about geopolitical scenario of India and we're gonna talking about other current updates regarding politics issues overall the world and mainly in case of India. So the podcast is gonna be totally about politics of India. So as I'm from Nepal, so today this is a great opportunity for me to learn much more deeply about Indian geopolitics. So if you are new to the channel, guys, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. So enjoy the podcast of Ranjith Bohra with Shankar sir on the show. Hi sir,
Hi.
how are you sir?
All good. Thank you. How are you?
It's my pleasure sir, to have you in my podcast and
Very nice.
yes sir, I'm also doing good. So before starting about the topic sir, I want you to give a short introduction of yourself sir.
Hi, my name is Shankar Prasad, and I'm working as an assistant professor with the Center for Management Studies, JN University. This is my 10th year at this college, and before that, I was a software engineer working with HP, Hewlett Packard, and I have 4+ years of experience. And yes, I've also been a civil services trainer, and I've trained a lot of students to write their examination, and some of them have successfully cleared that as well.
So what made you to choose politics as your teaching career sir?
Well, it's an accident. In fact, when I was in my final year of engineering, we had a subject called Indian Constitution, which is the base of everything. Though I did not had some interest, not any sorts of, but over a period of time, I kind of felt that interest in the subject. So what I did was I started digging deeper. And during my engineering days, something motivated me to write civil services examination. So politics was one thing which I was interested into, and because of that interest, I also did Master of Arts in Public Administration, which is a combination of both, management and also Indian politics and its administration. So after that, then I did my NET, and that's how I switched my career from an engineer to that of a professional teacher.
So how was your campus life sir, during that time sir?
It was very good. First, it was challenging, and I always see I would always love to take challenges. And yes, this is how it has been so far.
So I want to take you before that also sir, before your college life, I mean before when you passed your 10th, at that time sir, what was your mental thought regarding your career or whatever?
So I was very fixed. In fact, it was narrow-minded. In fact, let me tell you that never in my dreams I thought that I'll become a teacher.
Okay.
I wanted to become an engineer. I did, but later it's there was an incident which I met through in one of my mom's village, where she took birth, and because my granddad was a DC of Mysore, there were like a lot of people who told me that because of my granddad they got their fields, farms, and etc. And there was a program called as Tillers are the owners of the land. So it was during the reigns of Indira Gandhi. So that was implemented. So therefore, that incident motivated me to write civil services and then to train students.
Okay.
That's how I took teaching seriously.
So how was your experience of preparation of civil service?
Wonderful, I should say wonderful. So whatever you see me right now, it's because of that. I met a lot of people, and there was one of my friend, who's become my best friend today, Mr. Nitin, and because of him, whatever personality you see me right now, it's half is because of him. and they gave me a lot of opportunities to identify. And it's the experience and how do you look at.
So you totally changed after UPSC preparation.
Yes, absolutely.
So what one things that made you keep pushing till now, sir?
That the world is always like that, so you have to push to your limits, otherwise you're gone. So that's what motivates me every single day. I feel that it's a new day, and I always take new tasks and see that the unfinished tasks are finished. This is how I look at life.
So, sir, when you plan to switch your career from engineer to, teaching, so what was the reaction of your families?
My family has always been supportive, and they've helped me a lot in that. They've always stood by hard times, like my mother, father, or my sister, or my wife, including my friends. They've always stood by me. And yeah, so that I was quite disappointed when I could not clear interview, being an civil services aspirant. So I went to interview thrice in the state civil services. I couldn't clear, and then I was little depressed. To be honest, I was depressed. So I came out of it. It's because of my family and my friends.
So now let's talk about the current geopolitics scenario of India. So before that, I want you to briefly explain what exactly mean by geopolitics.
Geopolitics is a combination of geography and politics. So you see that geography of a country will define certain systems for politics. For example, when we speak about India and China, geographically we have certain advantage, and that leads to a political advantage. So basically, a combination of geography and a system which is responsible for using that opportunity in a process is what we understand as geopolitics.
So talking about the current political scenario of India, sir, what do you want to say about that? BJP is leading the country, right? So from 2014 it took over and under the not the
Modi
Modi
sir.
ji. So what do you want to say about?
Whichever the political parties come and go, it's always the people because it's the democracy, and whomsoever wins the majority, he or she continues to be the prime minister in this nation, and that political party which becomes the majority party continues to be the political party which is leading the nation. BJP did not come here for the first time; it was even before. And as an academician, I would like to say that it's quite fascinated when Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a prime minister, and a lot of those, stepping stone which he did during his time has been a platform for this government to take over. Let it be the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan or the midday meal scheme or the national highways. I think if somebody can be called as the brainchild behind national highways, it would be Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So I feel that all of that, which was a platform during that time, resulted in what Modi's government is doing right now.
Okay, so what one bad and good things you would like to say about this government, current government?
Every government should make sure that it provides highest transparency and accountability. And I would like to say a government will always have its positive side and negative side. So, but then at the end of it, it should always think that democracy is the most important. They are not the rulers of this country, they are the servers of this country. So they are into public service. So whichever the government it is, they have to think in this mindset. The reason why I say this is because during the times of 1950s and 1960s till 1970s, social activism was considered to be the most important criteria to become a politician. Well, right now it's changing.
In what form, sir?
So earlier, you see that a lot of people were in the freedom struggle movement.
Yes.
They were part of the freedom struggle movement, and then they were associated with a lot of people. They did some public service before they entered into the political life, but we don't see much here. Now at least at this present juncture, so a lot of things have changed, and when we see that more than 50% of politicians have a criminal background, it shocks us, especially an academician like me, is because the law of this nation is to be made by the parliament. So I think the government has to take a regard of all of this and make sure at least it stops those people who have a criminal background to become a minister or to enter politics.
So as you are a citizen of India, so are you totally satisfied with this current government?
I'm not completely satisfied.
Why so?
And the reason behind it is, as an academician, so I'll speak in perspective of an academician. When I was going through the budget, I don't see much on education. It's good that the government has brought in the Saptarishi, and one of that is the youth potential, unleashing the potential and concentrating on the youth power. But what I would like to say is the government should have given specifically for the youth and the education. So because the government had a program called as Brain Gain, I think it's still on paper. The government has to do something to bring it in reality. And because we have more than 30% of doctors in UK, we have more than 40% of them in NASA. We have others, in other countries, and all of these are intellectual Indian brains who are working for other countries rather than in India. So I think the government has to bring in some, importance to stop this. Otherwise, this capability would be used by the world rather than India. I'm not saying that the government is
So,
not using it.
what kinds of consequence would India face if these things going on?
We might see that our own Indian citizens turning against us. They'll be working for some other country than for us.
In terms of for a good future?
Yes, of course, yes. It might be like that. Because when we see more than 6 lakh or 7 lakh of engineers working in the United States of America,
That's a
you know,
huge number.
it's a huge number. And America is using our brains rather than we using it. Of course, the population is a very big challenge. The government needs to cope up with it.
Yes, sir. Now the talking about population, it overtook China, right? So, can India utilize in a good way? Properly utilizing the full human resource. So, what do you think, sir? Can India?
Okay, so I would like to quote our own university's director, Dr. Dinesh Neelkant, who said once, and also our Vice Chancellor, Raj Singh, both of them said once that we are only thinking about the youth power here. We are not thinking about what is going to happen after 70 years because the same youth power of India are going to get old. What's next then?
Yes, after
So we don't have anything as a
backup.
policy or a backup to project after 30 years or 40 years. So I would like to go with these two, who have very clearly mentioned, highlighted the grave
Yes.
problems which India is going to face in another 30 or 40 years.
So now talking about the current unemployment rate in India. So in what form government can could be do in a better way so that to give a fully employment opportunity to all the youths in India, so they don't need to run to foreign abroad countries for education. And no, for education it's okay, but in term of doing job or to settling in other countries. So what do you want to say about?
I think we should have more of premier institutions in India. I think IITs, what we have is not enough. IIMs, what we have, not enough. And the moment we speak about aims is also not enough. We need more aims. We need more IITs. We need more IIMs, and also the other premier institutions like NITs. That's the need of the hour. So if the government can concentrate on all of it and make sure that the premier institutions, the premier educational institutions are with us, people will stop going abroad and they'll start enrolling in these kind of institutes. And India should be a safe place for or a destination for all of them to study in India. And of course, India will do it. It will take some time. So the government should plan that right now. And I do understand that the biggest problem which the government is facing right now is the fiscal deficit. But then they should concentrate on the education because that's the inclusive development, the very first stepping stone.
So the talking about Human Development Index, in talking about Indian, Kerala is a top position at all, right? So how could it able to manage? For this a long time.
Okay.
So what is the reason why other countries are not able? Even in case of when we talk about Karnataka or when we talk about Maharashtra, there are high metropolitan cities like Bangalore and Mumbai. So still, when overall when we look, Kerala is ahead of all other state. So what do you think, sir?
Okay, so talking about HDI, if you understand the criteria of HDI, it depends on the gross enrollment ratio.
Yes.
It depends on the standard of living, and of course on the life expectancy. These are the three important. There are other parameters as well associated with these three. And all of these three, Kerala has always been the educated state of India. So there's never been a problem to them. Since so it automatically qualifies for number one. So they are literates. Number two, when we speak about the gross enrollment ratio and the life expectancy, now if education is given to each and every person, if imagine if 100% of India is educated, it's literate. Educated I mean is literate, literacy. then in that situation, he will understand what he should be. And that will go a long way in achieving the other two parameters. And also, the successive governments there in Kerala, they've made sure, and the people there have made sure that all of these three are achieved. You might not see such a political activism as you see in case of Kerala.
So it means it's a highly active of political song.
Absolutely, the political awareness is very strong. See, we have always seen politics in a negative way. Now, for me, politics personally is polyethics. I always feel that there's many ethics, many principles, many ideologies associated with it. So, politics is public service, but we are not thinking about politics as public service. We always connote it negatively. For example, you might say there's a lot of politics in an institution. So, we are only connoting the negative angle to it. Kerala probably has always given the positive sides of it. And per se, in each and every family there, they're very good in political awareness. I feel that there is no such able leader other than Nitin Gadkari.
Nitin Gadkari.
So I don't know. I'm quite wary of Yogi Adityanath or I'm quite wary of Amit Shah.
Why
You
so?
know, the reason behind it is I don't see them as somebody who have taken various sections in the society into consideration while leading.
Okay.
So that's an important thing for any politician. So I see that Nitin Gadkari is not like that. So prospective chances, if at all, if I feel an able man to lead BJP from the front, apart from Yogi Adityanath or Amit Shah, I would say Nitin Gadkari is the best. He's the best man if BJP comes to power.
So
in
what do
the
you want to say about Kejriwal, sir?
Kejriwal, well, I always call him as Crazy Wall is because the man who made sure that he brought one single political party in the name of anti-corruption. That's amazing, it was a new breeze to the Indian politics. It would be really good if a prime minister is as educated, who has a rich experience as that of Arvind Kejriwal. But then I think the time is not ripe for him and also his political party. The reason behind it is, as you see a couple of months before or in the past few months, we saw some of the corruption scandals and scams in his political party as well, which contradicts the very statement what he made that his party is the one party which stands against corruption because the motto is against corruption. But of course, yes, if he wants to become, it is democracy at the end of the day. And I will also see that his chances would be there, but then not now. Maybe Aam Aadmi Party has to garner its support in each and every nook and corner of India. Probably after that, he might.
So now everyone is saying that this is the golden era for India. So what do you think about that, sir? I mean, India is now it's on at the peak, right, in terms of development, infrastructure, or any other aspect. So what do you think about that, sir? Comparing to other global countries like USA, China, Russia.
I would say I would like to.
Do you think India is at a global era?
No, I don't think so.
Why so?
It still needs to come,
Okay.
But then that doesn't mean that I'm not discrediting anything, whatever the previous or the present governments have achieved. They've achieved. I'm not saying they've not. Each and every prime minister has given his own contribution. Now, I would like to quote an author from Pakistan. I think his name is Shahzan Chowdhury. And he wrote an article in the newspaper called Tribune, if I'm not wrong. And I read is because one of our professor shared that in one of our posts. So he says that India has achieved a lot. And, I say that there is still long. We should not be complacent that we have achieved a lot. And he said about Manmohan Singh's and Narendra Modi's era, where he coined a term called as New India. Per se, he gives an example of foreign exchange reserve, how Manmohan Singh's started at $93 billion of foreign exchange reserve forex and reached it to somewhere around $200 billion.
Yes.
And Narendra Modi, as a prime minister, took it over from 200 billion, and then his government came into almost $600 billion. So I've seen that this is a new India. We are good in our information and technology and
IT service mainly.
IT services and all of it. But then lots needs to be done. We have still problems of poverty and unemployment. I feel that still that golden era is yet to come.
So when looking at the population, it have to go a long head. Again, still it have to go, right?
It's not only about the population; it's about the various sections also. You have to consider
Okay.
If all sections in this society are happy, then I feel that that's the golden era.
So how long India gonna take to overcome China according to you?
It might be another 5 years or 10 years.
Within 5 years?
5 years, maybe. Why can't? We can. But all of this depends on what sort of governance we do. It all
It's
depends on the
totally
government.
totally dependent on politics, right?
100% yes.
So I'm talking about there is a race between China and USA, right? In case of superpower nation.
Correct.
So according to you, sir, I mean, who do you think?
Talking about superpower, what it makes as a superpower.
Yes, sir. Before that, what do you mean by superpower?
Yeah.
What?
So superpower is right now determined in terms of how influential they are, in terms of economics, in terms of politics. Right. So that's how they define superpower. In geopolitical theory, we have something called as air power theory. What's air power? Now it is completely dependent on the sophisticated weapons and the aircrafts. Now the countries which has better aircrafts, better ammunitions, and better weapons, they are the one who are influential. Having said that, let's not discredit the economic scenario in those countries. They're very strong in terms of their forex and they're very strong in terms of their economic perspective. Now, all of that makes a superpower. Per se, right now, why I said about the superpower, America stands out because it has got more than 77 military bases in various countries in the world. China has hardly around three. So it takes a lot of, thing for China. It has to reach a lot in order to catch up to America is what I feel. But how they are catching up is through economy. That's how they are catching up, and they are one of the largest trading partner with any other country. Per se, they have more than $979 billion of trade, volume of trade with European Union, and even America. Both of them are in a race to become a superpower. In fact, both of them are considered to be enemies in geopolitics. But still, if you see the volume of trade, what they have, that's interesting. The volume of trade is close to around $700 billion.
700 billion.
Absolutely.
Going back in 2019, what made Modi government to win again in the election?
Modi government used one of her biggest PR campaign called as Ab Ki Baar Modi Sarkar, and it capitalized on the alternative that there was no viable opposition political party which could become a ruling party, and to a fact that even though demonetization happened, where it garnered negative support to Narendra Modi's government, but then still that people had a trust on the political party and this man Narendra Modi that he's going to do something. So that worked for the political party and the man, and therefore they won it with a thumping majority. And the best part of them, as an advantage in the first tenure, is that was a government where the corruption was the least. At least if you compare that with that of the previous Congress government.
So my first question to you, sir, what one thing you would like to bring change in Indian government if you could get a chance to become PM of India?
Uh, if I get a chance to become PM of India, I think one change would be employment for the youth.
Okay, so what is the best advice you would like to give to your earlier 20 years old Shankar Prasad sir?
I should have had some guidance with some strong people. I should have searched for some guidance.
Okay, so how was your experience till now in CMS?
Amazing, amazing, and I get a new set of students, and it's quite challenging to teach them. Every single day is new challenge.
Okay, so who is your favorite PM?
I don't have any favorite PM, but then I would say Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru.
Okay, so one last one. How to focus on career, sir, according to you?
Okay, it's to find out what you really have to do. It might be anything.
It means to follow passion.
Absolutely right.
So I want to add one more question, sir. What exactly define passion?
Passion is something. What is your urge? Where you find satisfied, where you do not get any stress at all. For example, it might be any job. So you should not find what is stress at the end of the day. You're not happy about it. So it should be a job. A passion is something where whatever you do at any moment of time, it should not give you any stress. So that's your passion.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. So I hope you enjoy the podcast as well.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
So it was a great interaction with you, sir. As I'm from Nepal, I get to know much more details about Indian politics also. So to the audience, I hope you enjoy the podcast, guys. So until the next video, try to learn something. Just follow, just go out the things that you really love, and just give a try and hope for the good things happen. So thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.